Hello Wastrels, this is Caedo Genesis. What you're about to see in here is an interview between myself and the crew of 3DayMedia. Now Jordan and Jordan of 3DayMedia were the first podcast crew that I joined in early 2015, so this is a reunion slash interview slash birthday gift. And Jordan M was having a heck of a time with his audio at the beginning, but don't worry, it does get better. If you're looking to glean some information about starting your own channel, or starting your own anything really, or hope to be entertained with some interactive interrogations, hopefully you'll find both here. Without any more delay, here's the interview.
Hey everybody, guess who's back? It's the old crew. I'm Jordan M, your lovely host. And this is my co-host, Jordan B.
Hi.
And this is our very special guest, Caedo, the Genesis.
Hello. We are returning for another bout of Holotape something or other.
Is this Holotapes?
Is it? I don't know what it is.
This is an
What are we doing?
This is an interview for you, Caedo. We're interviewing Caedo Genesis, our longtime friend and part-time lover, about his exploits on YouTube.
Yeah.
This is not an episode of Holotapes Weekly because it's not going to come out weekly.
Holotapes Weekly is dead.
Oh.
Stop asking about it.
Oh man, I wanted to be optimistic and stuff.
I mean, we can be optimistic all we want, but that's not really the game of the show, is it?
Well, depends on whose show.
All the same, today we wanted to take a second to thank Caedo for all of his help and hard work over the years, and to take a second to talk about where he is right now on the YouTubes and how he's gotten this far, and sort of give everyone else a chance to, you know, have their questions answered about what it takes to be a YouTuber, what kind of work goes into it, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, and yeah, I wanted to say something about that too. When you first came to me with the idea, I was like, I don't want this to sound like I'm tooting my own horn, or this is like, Caedo's the best, I made it, you all suck. No, it's not that. It's more of a, maybe through my experience, maybe you can find the thing that you want to do when it comes to creating your own path or career, or something to that effect. Right now, it's not to that point with me, but I hope, I hope it is sometime in the next few years. Because when I went full-time YouTube a year ago, it was not well planned. So now I have this, and also, you know, a side job for the weekend.
Yeah, but I mean, also there's the point of don't downplay yourself, Caedo. You have 20,000 subscribers, your videos get a lot of views, you're doing well. And I think that there are a lot of people who have a lot that they can learn from you. I mean,
it's a little over 20,000, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, not tooting your own horn, right? My point is, his videos do well, he overall has a lot of subscribers, and I think that we need to take a second to help others who are trying to go down this path about how hard things are and where to start.
Yeah, and you said you wanted to do something for my birthday too, so that's what we're doing.
This is a birthday celebration for Caedo. Happy birthday, Caedo!
That's, well, yeah, it's in like a week, but yeah, this is.
It's still close.
The first time he contacted me, he's like, "Your birthday is soon, right?"
Well, soon-ish. When I contacted you, it was January, so it wasn't that far off.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyways,
I appreciate it all the same.
So Jordan and I were going to swap off on questions here that are on the side of the screen.
Okay, Caedo, so how would you describe your channel? You know, you've been doing YouTube for like 5 years now, something like that. What's the end goal for you?
Well, the goal has kind of been the same the whole time. I mean, there's a little bit of variation in there, because I've kind of, like, I guess, scooched towards doing more Let's Play content, and now I've kind of pigeonholed myself into doing pretty much all Let's Play content, and not really having time for much else, without having, while having, you know, free time as well. But my channel was based around the idea of bringing quality, no-nonsense guides about the games I love to others in the community that share that same enjoyment. And it kind of stays. That's the intent. That's the plan for good. I hope.
So are you saying that at some point in the future you'd like to reduce the amount of Let's Play content, or at least find time to do more guide content?
It's that I'm not great at balancing multiple projects. So if I'm doing 2 Let's Plays and doing a guide series at the same time, it is very difficult for me to keep it all organized while trying to balance the rest of my life too. So unless I become very good at like ordering my tasks, and I don't see that happening really anytime soon, I have to reduce one thing to increase another kind of thing.
Well, you know what the solution to that is? You just need to add like 3 more hours to every day.
That would be nice, actually.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Or, hire a team by the name of Jordan Square. But that's just saying.
Okay. I mean,
just saying.
I could pay you in high fives and hugs, but that's really
Caedo, that's all the payment I need.
all right.
So, in all seriousness, what inspired you to start the channel? Change this question around. What inspired you to start the channel in the first place? I mean, you said it was no nonsense guides, but what was the inciting incident to this story that you're writing?
Well, first I needed to expand the things that I learned in trade school, because I went to Job Corps. I ended up completing around, I want to say November. No, it was November 2012, and I had leadership training under my belt and no outlet for it. Like after all was said and done, like there was no place I could just go to and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna lead you guys." It just doesn't happen. Yeah. So I was like, "Well, crap. How do I keep using my voice so I don't lose it?" Because it's an amazing feeling to have when you find that you have one. So I was like, all right, I experimented a little bit with making, montage videos and stuff like that for Skyrim. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I could learn
Caedo's
better at editing.
Casualties.
What's that?
Caedo's Casualties.
Yeah. Actually, it was well before that. It was just one little Skyrim thing that I did. Found a cool track on OC Remix and had a bunch of cinematic stuff. But I showed it to people at Job Corps because I made it when I was on break of all times, and they were like, "That's cool." So after Job Corps, I was like, "All right, I got to use my voice, and I want to make more videos and learn more about editing and production and stuff like that." So I started up the channel, and then I started looking through different kinds of content. Because at the start, I was just like, I want to make some kill move montages. These are going to be awesome. Everybody's going to like it. And that wasn't true. Basically, when you try to see the value in something, even if it's cool looking, even if you think it's cool, not everybody else is going to think it's as cool because they didn't put the amount of work into it that you did. They are just watching. So I was like, all right, what can I do that other people will enjoy? And I see all these Let's Play channels, they are far above me on commentary level. During that time, I was just like, I have to follow a script or at least repeat the same thing, several times over until it sounds right. So I started looking around to Skyrim guides for things that I commonly wanted to find. And I was like, holy crap, I can do these. And then I saw some other ones that were not so good. And I was like, I can do this better. So I started making those 15-minute, oh my goodness. It was like an hour's worth of Skyrim guides when I first started, just for the Daedric artifacts. And then I was like, well, this is an extensive amount of time just to find like 16 things. Like, I don't think it should be this long to get stuff in a game. It shouldn't take longer to watch a video than it does to play these sections of the game. So then I started working on making things shorter, making things more succinct, and I then started the Fallout 3 content, which like grew, I wouldn't say exponentially, but it, as soon as it was seen, and like I joined a couple Fallout fan pages and stuff like that, as soon as it was seen, people started utilizing them. And because they were guides, people were actually searching for them on YouTube as well. Because people don't search for montages, they search for, you know, things that are actually useful, or things that, you know,
Yeah.
they have a need of, or a want to see. From there, I went from, you know, Fallout 3 to Fallout New Vegas, because that's the obvious kind of transition. And then I ended up making the Fallout 3 Wazer Rifle music video, 2015?
That sounds
Yeah.
right.
Beginning of the year, and put it together with the open-minded fellas, and then that just erupted into an incredible amount of through traffic. But then I started to realize that even though it was really fun to work on a collaboration like that, to give open-minded the attention they deserved, I was not entirely, because I started feeling it afterwards, I was not entirely keen on doing machinima stuff because of how much of a time investment it was. So I then made the Date with the Deathclaw video in May after that, and I was like, okay, now what? Well, I could revisit the Skyrim videos and give them like a full do-over and not, you know, show all the dated artifacts in an hour, and instead like 10 minutes. So I did that. And then, I don't know, it kind of gets closer to today.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way your channel develops is really interesting to me, because you're right. It is a lot of people with through traffic. You don't have a lot of, and this isn't disparaging to you in any way, your videos do not generate a lot of people who want to watch your content repeatedly. They come through, they look, or at least like the baseline of your content, which is the guides and the music videos, your biggest hits basically, are the ones where people come through, they watch it once, they get what they need, and then they leave.
I wanted to make it more of a resource than like an actual, like resource first, entertainment later. Like that's kind of what I wanted to make it, because there's so many. I hate bashing any sort of fellow YouTubers or content creators or anything like that, but there's a lot of low effort content out there that is getting more attention than I think it should get. Like, if you imagine that some of the viewers of that low effort content could make better, and they're not, that is slightly upsetting to me.
Caedo, you can just say you were talking about Holotapes Weekly. You don't have to.
No,
hide it.
it's not. No.
Yeah, I mean, we know that we're the least good of the Fallout podcasts. It's
Well,
fine.
I didn't throw you under the bus. You did.
But no, and I mean, in all seriousness, it's so fascinating to watch your rise, because it's this weird thing of you get so many subscribers, and a lot of your videos get like these really high views, and then there's others where it's 200, 300.
Kind of because the guides themselves are kind of ageless as the games they're based on. So, and especially like if people remember, like when they, because when you play through the Bethesda games especially, like it goes in cycles. Like you play once and then wait about a year, like play once all the way through and then wait about a year and then play it again. Like brand new save. But a lot of people that go through that cycle, because my channel is several cycles old, as it were.
Yeah.
When people come back, they're just like, oh yeah, I remember Caedo Genesis did a guide on this thing, like the steel ingots in the pit,
Which I have used multiple times.
And they came back to that guide in particular just because they knew it was effective. And I see that more and more lately, because it's had its presence already known, which is really cool. But because it is the type of content that it is, it's gonna have a long shelf life compared to, say, a Let's Play, where if you watch an entire Let's Play series, it might be treated the same as, like, I'm probably not going to come back to this for about a year, but if you have the ability to, like, play that yourself too, you're probably going to do that. Like, that's how I see it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I watch Let's Plays more than once, but I have watched your video on where to find all of D. Domino's caches, like 20 times. At least. You would think I'd know where they are by now, but I don't.
No, I don't even remember where they are.
And I think that's kind of the point, especially with, games. I'm also curious about going forward, is that there are a lot of older games that are very big on collectibles. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things about older games is there was no map in-game that would show you where all the collectibles are there. For example, I'll use the example of Microsoft's Sunset Overdrive, where in the game itself you could buy maps that would show you where each and every single collectible was. But I'm wondering if going forward, if that's going to be the norm, or if games are going to shift back to Fallout New Vegas or the old Assassin's Creed, where there was no map to show you where things were. There was and that's where people really need your guides, is when there isn't anything in the game to point them in the direction that they need. And that's when your guides become an invaluable resource.
I do kind of think that games in general are headed in that direction, because, I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn, you can buy the maps for most of the collectibles.
Yeah.
But I think there's like one set one or two sets you don't get a map for.
Yeah.
But
I'm just hoping that the developers leave in things that, people can, with some effort, find, instead of just being pointed where to go.
So, Caedo, let's move on and talk about what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced within your channel. What is some of the hardest things you've done, or what are some of the things that you struggle with today?
Okay, hurdles and troubles and tribulations and all that good stuff. Probably first and foremost is, you may notice, not many people noticed because it kind of just disappeared. Laser Rifle is no longer on my channel because it went from shared revenue to their publisher gets all of it. And I was not okay with that. And since then, it hasn't been remedied, so I just ended up being like, hey, you guys can enjoy that revenue, but it's not going to be coming from me because, So that was a big old thing. Mike, I can't say too much about the rest of the ordeal, but we're not on bad terms. It's just I'm much more cautious about who I work with, and like how much effort I put into something too, because that was an unbelievable amount of time for that video. Like I was saying with the machinima stuff. Probably the self-motivation, that's a tough one too. Of course, over the first couple years, it was really difficult, but now it's become kind of a regular thing because I'm just like, oh, I gotta edit. And then it takes maybe 45 minutes to an hour if it's like a Let's Play episode. At least I'd like to think so. Time kind of warps when you're working. But it's one of those like not so difficult things. It's not even a chore. It's one of the more like, I get to put this episode out today kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah, the self-motivation, probably a big one. Let's see. Logistics of any capacity. I have been, pressured or advised a couple of times by my roommate, because Kite really enjoys, seeing me create stuff and, wants to see me do more kind of thing. And that sometimes that can have a reverse effect on me, like demotivating instead of motivating. But like getting into a position where I can like go to be on a panel or something like that. Like that requires so much work, and I'm just like I don't feel like I don't feel like doing it. Not that I'm saying I don't think I could, but I don't know. It's one of those things where I just I don't feel like I have the energy to put towards it. But I'm sure that'll come in time. Also keeping up with the social media, like I've neglected to join certain social media like Snapchat and stuff like that, specifically because I won't use them to promote my content, because I have enough trouble trying to use Facebook and Twitter.
I mean, I completely understand, and I mean, we had similar problems with Holotapes Weekly. For all of you who didn't know, big secret, Jordan B ran all the social media stuff because I just can't do it.
It's a lot to manage.
It is. And it's so important. That's the weirdest part. If you want to have a successful channel, social media is so important. You can't just put stuff up on YouTube and say, oh, that's good enough. You have to go up on Twitter and say, hey, this video's up now. You have to go up on Facebook and say, hey, check out this and check out this.
Yep.
It's a lot of work.
Yep.
The self-motivation part, I think, is something that all people who want to do something on their own, anyone who says, I'm going to go and do this on my own and try and work, make something work for myself, that is a huge issue, just in general. I mean, and it goes back to one of those human things of, well, if I don't have to, why should I? It's so hard to get yourself out of that mindset. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people and heard from a lot of people that are in that funk that's like, I want to better myself, but I see this guy who is like light years beyond what I think I can do, and like, why try? Or I'm going to try for a month, and if I'm not the level that they are, I'm going to stop. Like, they don't see like all of the effort and energy and blood and sweat that, you know, their ideal, whoever their idol happens to be, or their role model happens to be. They're not seeing the work that it took to get to that point that they're at, and that's probably one of the hardest things to get past, is knowing that especially when you're self-teaching, when you're self-learning, it takes probably a lot more, I would guess, it takes a lot more time and trial and error than going to school for it or something like that, because you don't have that person just being like, yeah, if you do it this way, it's like 20 times faster.
Yeah.
or like, no, that's just straight up wrong. You should do it this way, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think there's also this issue, especially when we're talking about online stuff, of you have this opportunity to see everyone else who's trying to do the exact same thing you do. And sometimes you'll come across a creator who just happened to get lucky. They got one lucky streak, and for some reason that... but, you know, it is really good to hear someone who's trying to do things say, yeah, it is hard. It's nice to hear people like you admit that, because sometimes it's so easy to look at people like PewDiePie or whoever else you want to look at online and say, how come they have it so easy?
Yeah, like there's the rare few too, like Markiplier is an example a lot of people tend to use, because he got huge in 2 years, massive, and I was like, holy crap. Some of it, I have no doubt some of it just fell into his lap, but some of it was actual work, and especially after he garnered that amount of attention, like, he had to keep up with it, and he chose to. Like, that's the reason why he's still a thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody thinks about that aftermath part either. Like, after you become big, you have to maintain it, or you lose all that momentum you got.
Yeah. And I mean, on the other side of the scale, there are people who started out just like you. I mean, if you look at Rooster Teeth, they started out 3 guys in a bedroom.
Oh, dude, yeah.
and they've been doing it for 15 years now, and they're still not as big as some other big channels.
Yeah. I mean, they have their own corporation though, so that's
I mean, yeah,
small.
I feel like it's growth in a different way.
Yeah.
It's growth in a different way. But I mean, you do look at those guys, the guys who started Rooster Teeth, you know, Jeff, Bernie, and all the other original founders, and they'll all in all their interviews they always say it's a lot of hard work. And I mean, you hear Bernie in a lot of interviews talking about how they were in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment working for hours and hours and hours, and then having to go to a real job after that. And it's really interesting.
It's mainly about the stuff you don't see. For those of you choosing to listening, it's about the stuff you don't see. That's what makes the person you see on screen. And I sound like I'm just preaching now.
No, I mean, I
mean, I think a lot of people look at like Rooster Teeth and they're like, oh, well, they're huge and they've only been around for like 5 or 6 years. It's like, no.
They've been in the spotlight that long. They were there well before that.
Yeah, it's 10 years of hard work for 2 to 5 years of success. That's really what it is.
Yeah, so. And like I remember too, like when Red versus Blue was first a thing, I was just like, what are these guys doing even? And like Machinima then became a thing, and I'm just like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of good.
Yeah. So.
But one of my it's funny you mentioned Rooster Teeth because Monty Ohm was actually one of my inspirations, probably even more so today because of what he brought to the table, not just when he was working with Rooster Teeth, but when he was doing his Dead Fantasy series and stuff like that. Like, I believe he was working with Capcom at the time, but he was self-teaching animation. Like, that's 3D animation. That's
amazing.
Outstanding. That is outstanding.
Well, I mean, you look at Monty and you look at some of the things that he did to learn. I mean, there's that. There was a famous story about Monty a long time ago where he hunted down a Blu-ray player that could play at like 8 times reduced speed or 64 times reduced speed. So he could go and watch the movie Avatar when it first came out and watch the motions of how other animators moved their characters so that way he could learn. And he would do that for hours and hours on end so that way he could learn. And those teaching skills, that is something that is so hard to keep up with.
And to even have patience for. Like, that's one of the things I'm most impressed with him about, is just his level of patience and how meticulous he was about just doing things in general. Or I remember in his their memorial podcast for him, because Monty did pass away. For anybody who didn't know, medical complications
back in
or something
2014.
like that. Yeah, really sucked. But around that time, they were sharing the like Monty-isms or things that he did to just make things more efficient. And I remember one of the ones where he was just like cooking up a burrito or something like that, but he would hit the same button 3 times instead of just like 1 0 0 because he'd have to push 2 buttons.
Yeah,
and that's like in the long run, it probably makes a lot more sense if he does things in a more efficient way. But I don't know. It's all part of the process, I guess. I'm sure he approached animation the same way.
I mean, there's this weird thing of if you want to work on something, you can't apply it to one part of your life. You have to apply it to all parts. If I want to say I want to get better doing paperwork at work, I need to start getting better about focusing on something at home as well. I need to, I need to do every part of my life has to be involved in that teaching, has to be involved in that learning. So. Yeah,
there was somebody that asked me, it was months and months ago, because I get emails every once in a while or private messages, somebody just being like, hey, I just started my YouTube channel. And I'm wondering if you can give me any pointers. At this point, I have kind of like a sheet worth of bullet points of stuff that I've learned, and I just kind of forward that. But at the same time, like if it's somebody like I've known, like an old World of Warcraft friend or something like that, they were just like, hey, my kid's getting into video editing and production and stuff like that. I want to know like what it's like to start and like if we have all the equipment we need and stuff like that. And like I give them a couple pointers. But then I'm like, how old is this kid? What's their attention span like?
Yeah.
Because, it looks easy until you do it. And how much did you spend on equipment? That's my next question. Be like, I hope you didn't waste your money, because like getting hand-me-downs is a good start. Anybody who's looking to start listening to this right now, get some hand-me-downs if you can. Like if you have any family members or friends that have like microphones or cameras or whatever, or webcams, try with that first. Before you just throw like, you know, a bunch of your savings towards high-end equipment that you probably won't use after a month.
So where do you see yourself going from here? I mean, we talked about earlier how, you know, you can kind of buy the maps in most games, so that kind of cuts into your territory a little bit.
It does, but I'm sure that there's going to be things that that the games themselves. I mean, Primo would be out of business too if that were the case. If they just cut out everything. Yeah. But I imagine that there's always going to be something that's worth covering. Like even in Fallout 4, if I hadn't gone over like collectibles and unique weapons and unique equipment, like that was a good chunk of my guides, but not all of them. I went over and did a few collaborations about different stuff, like, you know, chems and forging supplies and starting a settlement, like how-tos, tips and tricks kind of stuff. Like there's always room for something if there's something in the game that has a learning curve. So I'm not too worried about that. But for the future, I don't know. I kind of just want to keep chugging along. Like I know that I'm eventually going to hit that, I guess, short-term goal of 100,000. That would be cool one day. But I'm hoping that it's as justified as the last 60,000 have been, because I've been trying to do this as authentically as I can.
Yeah, and I mean, there's something to be said for having genuine followers, genuine subscribers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Fans. Because I mean, you do occasionally get people where they ask for likes and subscribes and follows. People just do it to make the YouTuber happy. And there's something to be said about, there's a difference between clicking subscribe and going and a guy who's going, you know what, I'm going to give this guy a subscribe because I genuinely like his videos.
Like the only time I've been doing that is during the recent co-play collaboration of the Skyrim Special Edition. But that's just so people can have access to both sides of the Let's Play.
Yeah, with Yorkshire again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of collaborations, is this something you've seen yourself doing more of in the future? Do you see yourself working with a lot of other YouTubers? Because I mean, you said earlier in the interview that you are more wary about the way that you work with people.
I'm more cautious, but at the same time, I love working with people. I love seeing what they can bring. Because like, if you guys seen the Bob Ross in Fallout 4, Up Is Not Jump and we played around with the idea of working on something together, because I tried my best to like cross promote for him, because his stuff is fantastic. And since I have a little bit of experience with how long of a time it takes to create something machinima worthy, I have the utmost respect for the things that he does. But we wanted to do like a console command entry level something or other for like making your own machinimas and stuff like that. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen, because he's definitely in his own realm at this point. He's making a Bob Ross series.
Yeah.
But in the future, yeah, there's you know, I'm sure there's plenty of people I want to work with out there. But as of right now, like the co-play thing is kind of where it's ending up, because I have recorded about the first half of Shadow of Mordor with my buddy Cody, and we're going to be making something out of that too. Once we record the other half, he came to visit a couple weeks ago, so that's probably gonna be something too. And he's a rising YouTuber as well. He's currently limited by his hardware though.
Aren't we all?
He's got 2 laptops. One of which is a little more high performance, but when it comes to, you know, editing and rendering and stuff like that, it'd be nice to have something powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I mean, we're all held back by different things, but I think that one of the things that we can take away from this whole interview is just keep on working hard.
Absolutely.
In everything you do, in all walks of life, no matter what you're doing, if you're passionate about it, keep working.
And if you're not meeting those goals for the stuff that you need to get, or that you want to get for like equipment and stuff like that, like pick up a side job, like do commissions or do yard work or something like that. Like you set your own standard. Like I was the biggest advocate of not ever working in a kitchen again, and then I ended up working at the cafe because I liked the owner. So.
Well, but a cafe is not really a kitchen. That's
yeah,
fine.
well, it was mostly kitchen related work though. So like I kind of ended up in the dish pit 90% of the time anyway. So. But I also learned how to make coffee drinks, so that was cool.
All right.
That was
well,
before I moved out here. So, but yeah, do what you can. Become a bounty hunter or something.
Maybe not that one.
listen.
Try to keep the things that are
Listen,
legal.
you do you, boo-boo. And bounty
right.
hunters are legal. You ever seen Dog? Okay?
Yeah.
Dog the bounty hunter.
Yep.
Anyways. Caedo, you got any last words of
Okay.
wisdom for our listeners here before we all say goodbye?
Last words of wisdom. Well, I want to say thank you to you guys first for doing an interview like this. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I really, really did enjoy it. As for the people listening, still, make sure you're working towards something you want. And that can be like either being an aspiring YouTuber, artist of some kind, musician. It doesn't all happen at once. Take baby steps. Take steps. If you can write them down, that's even better. But if you want to achieve something, you know what you want to do, or at least something you're interested in, just do the first couple things. Just be like, okay, if I wanted to be a musician, I probably need an instrument first, so work towards getting that instrument. Or, you know, I want to become a better singer. Do I know any vocalists? Kind of thing. Do something that puts you in a place to where you can better yourself and move in the direction you want to go with your life. Because that's kind of how I ended up here. And I like it.
Yeah. Wise words, Caedo. Wise words.
Very wise.
All right, Caedo. Well, thank you for joining us today. Jordan, thanks
guys.
for joining me.
Oh, I'm always
And
happy to be
for
here.
everyone listening, I hope you have a fantastic day.
Ooh, that was lovely.
Goodbye.
You should use that voice more.
You should use that voice exclusively.